Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope everybody had a great holiday. We did. We went down to St. Pete for a couple of days, and it was a 6.5 hour drive. First, it's always a 2 hour flight in the RV10, so we're working on getting this thing finished. Been working really hard in the last, I think, 4 or 5 weeks since an update, and really excited to show you where we're at with it. So a little bit of a snag over the holidays. Carol says, I'm interested in some diamonds. And I thought, oh no, there goes the budget for the RV10. Lucky for me, Carol likes a different kind of diamonds, and she's going to show you.
Well, I didn't know the real diamonds were an option. This is what I was actually had in mind. Diamonds are popular in aircraft and car upholstery nowadays, and I thought I'd try something new, but I didn't want to put it somewhere real visible right up front, so I thought I'd try it on the baggage door. On the inside of the baggage door, I always put a pocket right here, and we put our tie-down rings and all the things associated with what you want to get right when you first land. And so I make a big pocket right here. And I thought, well, I'll try doing the diamonds. And it turned out pretty nice. We're both happy with it. And I'm gonna kind of walk you through how I did it. The big issue with this is this cut piece. And I like to have the biggest possible pocket that I can because there's a lot of stuff he stuffs in there. And I wanted it even from both sides and the top. This side, I can't make it even because it's cut separately. So I made it 10 by 14, and I like to have it lined, and so I doubled the fabric, sewed a seam in the top. If I were going to do it again, I would just use a big piece of fabric and fold it so I didn't have that seam in the top, but I didn't think about it till afterwards. And the way to do this is you make a cross in your fabric, a plus sign. You start in the center and you create a diamond. Now I did 3 inches up and 1.5 inches across, and you center that on the plus. And once you get the diamond made, then you do parallel lines through the original diamond, and then you measure and try and figure out how to do it. Now, I will tell you, I could not figure out the diamonds. I watched this YouTube video. The guy made it look really simple. I tried it twice. I marked up all over my fabric, and man, I was lost. So the next morning I got up and I said, Vic, you're in charge of figuring this out. So we went downstairs together and used a piece of paper instead of my fabric. But I will tell you that marking on this fabric, this is the two-way stretch ultra leather from Columbia that I mentioned previously. And even though it's not leather, I use this leather marking pen from Tandy, and it is awesome. It makes silver marks, and when you want to erase them, you just rub it off. Well, I had so many marks that I actually used one of those magic erasers, made it a little bit wet, and it took off every sign of that silver from the 2 practice attempts that didn't work. Anyway, so we made the original diamond, and then we measured. Vic said, oh, we should use the rivet fan. Of course, everybody knows what a rivet fan is.
Fan spacer.
Yes, so we drew the lines and then marked exactly where they were supposed to be. We're using the rivet spacer. And then, after the first couple lines, you kind of get an idea of exactly where the ruler goes and how much extra you need, and you don't need to use the spacer the whole time. It does become very easy, but getting it figured out in the beginning was a challenge. And then when I finished, I sewed this on, and okay, I forgot to mention that it has the pink Sewfoam in it, 1/4 inch Sewfoam between the layers.
You have pictures you're going to show.
And I'm going to show you the process. And anyway, I sewed it on after I got it all sewed. And one other caution, when you're sewing, make sure you have enough bobbin thread, because I ran out mid-stitch, but I was able to cover for it. But anyway, it uses a lot of thread. And I do have a double bobbin, so just a word of warning there. Anyway, so the edges were not clean because the Sewfoam was in there. So I actually found some different trim and sewed that on to make it look nice on the edges. So, and it's like right there, but it's looks pretty good, so we're happy with it. Everyone always asks what the substrate is for the piece that I'm doing. Well, this one is a surprise. This one is a laser cut reject part. And the only thing we had to do was I cut a piece of plastic or fiberglass in a circle to cover the little baggage lock hole. But other than that, and then we put a piece of aluminum, or is that aluminum or
stainless steel tape.
Stainless steel tape over it. And other than that, it worked fine. It was a perfect size. Just Vic cleaned up the edges with the grinder, and we were good to go.
Yeah, I didn't have to make a new piece. I'm being told we have a word from our sponsor.
For clarity, I will put a written description of how I did the baggage compartment cover, and I will have it on the web page, and I'll put a link and in the description underneath the video.
Oh, that's cool. And again, I really like those diamonds you like. You know, Paul Harvey used to say, here's the other half of the story. When she told me what kind of diamonds she was interested in, I dropped everything, went down the basement, helped her figure it out. That was the cheapest set of diamonds I think I've ever found. But it came out really, really wonderfully. Can't wait to see what the seats look like. All right, she's going to pass the camera on to me now, and I'm just going to walk you through what I've done, where we're at, and what next steps are. All right, I think our last update was around right before Christmas, maybe the 22nd. So I've been in here, except for the little trip to St. Pete, pretty much 6 to 8 hours a day. I am so happy to get out of this cockpit. But I'm also pretty excited about the way the panel came out. Everything is done for the most part. We're never always done, right? There's always something you forget. As an example, got these really nice switches from Jason at Aerotronics. I love these. They're internally lit, but they've got big print on them. For us older guys, they work really nice. And of course, I forgot one switch for the defrost fans, and Jason has already got that on the way. Support from Aerotronics is wonderful out there. So anyway, all wires are done. You can see the ACM back there from Advanced Flight System. It's now full of cables. And of course, I've left one spare wire there fused because we always forget something. And everything else is connected. Every single wire is labeled with the label maker I think I showed you on the last video. So that takes time, but it'll certainly make down the road a whole lot easier. And so now all that's left to do really is insert the screens, and those are really just two connections to the ACM and to the network, SV network bus, and then put the radio stack in. The radio stack is mounted very nicely. That comes actually pre-drilled with rails on it from Advanced Flight Systems. In the back, you can see here, I have put a brace to pick up the back side of those. There's quite a bit of weight, you know, on that Avionics stack. So in turbulence, etc., you just don't want the rails on the front side carrying the weight. So that's all done. The engine controls are in and adjusted from this end. Obviously, got to wait till we get the engine here. I think I shared with you the micro switch right there. That arms the door warning circuit when the throttle comes out of idle. You can hear it click here. That'll stop those pesky warnings on the ground. And let's see, everything else, it's just ready for a smoke check. Now I'm going to wait till we actually mount the wings. That's the next step. Carol and I are going to try and get that done today, so I can clean up all of the wiring to the wing. As I showed you on the last video, the waterproof connectors are on the edge of the wing, and I've got to install them on this side now. You can see here's your pitot tube lines coming out and the angle of attack. Don't forget to use your little inserts if you use those kind of connections. I like those much better than the little push-pull ones. The push-pull ones with the O-ring, they tend to leak after a couple of years. These do not leak. They just seem to last forever. I know the static check on my RV10, after 15 years, it just didn't have any leaks. It was really nice. And let's see if I can take you back here and show you what I've done in the back. Let me grab a light here. And you'll see that the back side of the airplane is also done. You can see the dual ADAHRs up there. Those have the pitot AOA connections already made. Again, you can see I'm using the white nylon connectors. Don't forget, again, the little inserts. The antenna wires are all up there. They're not permanently connected. I've got the ends on them and connections for the leads coming in because I will leave the antennas off when we paint. Of course, I will mask off the area underneath the antenna. And then the wire is all down here. Don't forget your battery warning circuit for those of you using an EarthX battery. And then I've got a little bus back there for some hot things. As an example, here in the baggage compartment, I've got a 12-volt outlet for the Starlink. Starlink worked really well in our last RV10. It's just nice to have connectivity in some parts of the country, like on trips to Alaska, where you really don't have good ADS-B coverage. It's nice to get some weather updates via Starlink. I'm hoping the Starlink works in this one because we have put the carbon fiber top on it, so time will tell on that. Maybe I'll consider mounting the Starlink out in the wingtip. Those are still just composite fiberglass, not carbon fiber. So we'll see how that goes. So next steps are to get this outside sanded. Doors, everything's been fitted. I think I've shared that with you. Got to get Larry back up here for some warm weather to finish sanding on the fuselage. I've also prepped all the pieces. I don't know if that was in the last video, but I have Scotch-Brighted everything. I've closed out all of the edges and sanded those. So these are basically ready to prime and paint. And I think that's what we're going to be doing once I get this wiring finished on the wings. You can see here, just to remind you, the connectors are there. Notice for the high current circuits like pitot, heat, and landing light, I'm going to be using knife edge connectors, not DB connectors there, the little 25 pin. Those are really high current kind of connections. And so we should be ready to move ahead to paint here soon. And some good news from Jimmy Broad down at JB Aircraft Engines. He called right before Christmas, and he thinks the engine is going to get started in January and maybe be finished in February. So that actually moves our schedule up very nicely. I'm hoping I can get it done within a month or two after getting the engine here. I've already wired, while I was wiring the cockpit there, I've run all the wires out for all the engine connections. Some of the sensors are already in and wired. Obviously, EGT, CHT aren't wired, but a lot of this front end stuff is already preloaded. So it'll be a matter of hanging the engine and fitting the cowling. So hopefully that'll be moving along here pretty quickly. Paint is a very stressful thing. We'll give you some updates on that as we go through it. Happy New Year, everybody.